Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today we're actually going to be jumping into the least played format on this channel. We're going to be playing some Best of One Standard, and we're going to be playing around with a Jund Midrange list, because it contains lots and lots of cards that I absolutely adore. Garruk, Vivian, Elder Gargaroth, Rada, Klothys, and that's probably about it. Everything else, though, is kind of mid-rangey removal and, you know, has to be included, because if it isn't, then it's a mistake. Questing Beast, looking at you, biggest mistake of all time. But yeah, it's essentially going to be a creature-based mid-range list, so trying to win in the mid-game while also answering the early game, and hopefully a little bit of our opponent's late game as well. We should be able to pivot to either one of those, depending on our draws, and hopefully have a tool for at least every matchup in some capacity or another. So, the deck itself is primarily removal based, and in the early game, so we've got Bloodchief's Thirst, we got Eliminate, Heartless Act, and Mythos of Nethroi. I did mention that this was Jund, however, we are splashing very lightly for that white mana on the Mythos of Nethroi, so that means we can actually destroy any kind of permanent. This is essentially the Assassin's Trophy of our deck, in a nutshell. So we've got 2 Indatha Triumphs and 1 Savai Triumph, and a Plains to fetch on Fable Passage to make sure that we can get that Mythos of Nethroi destroying permanents. It means that we can use this to get rid of Planeswalkers in the same way that Bloodchief's Thirst Kicker can do the same. Early game, though, Heartless Axe eliminates, and then the stomps on Bone Crusher Giants. This one can be pointed directly at our opponent's face as well, so it has that little bit of reach. It's also kind of a 2-for-1 style of card, so you hit your opponent, maybe killing their creature with a stomp, and then it comes down as a 4-3 that needs to be answered, and if it gets answered in certain ways, then it actually deals 2 damage to your opponent, which is kind of nice as well. We got Klothys against any kind of graveyard escape shenanigans as well, so we can get rid of Croxes and any kind of recursive escape threats or anything like that, so that's kind of nice there. It will deal 2 to our opponent every single time, and we'll gain 2. So it's really nice as an aggro buffer as well. So you kill your opponent's mono-red creatures with your Bloodchief's Thirst and your Eliminates, and then Klothys gains you 2 life, so you should be netting in the long term life off of this card, allowing you to survive to the late game, to then to then drop something like Elder Gargaroth, which is a 5-mana 6/6. Absolutely love this card. I honestly, you might notice I play it in quite a lot of standard decks, because it's probably the only format where it's actually playable. It's just so cool. It's just so cool. It's like the Baneslayer Angel of Green, and I love that card as well. So it's a 5-mana 6/6 with Vigilance, Reach, and Trample, and when it attacks or blocks, then you make a 3/3, gain 3 life, and draw a card. This is the wording that Questing Beast should have, you know, because it is keyword soup the same as Questing Beast, but Questing Beast just kind of gets its value immediately because it has haste. This is usually a 5-mana do nothing, but it is also very good at protecting you while it's doing nothing, and then when it attacks, you end up starting to get a lot of value from it. This is the kind of high power level that I expect from standard formats. This is the peak, I would hope. If, like, this is the best card in standard, it's probably my favorite format. Let's just put it that way. Because it's a big bomb threat that demands answering, but you get plenty of time to answer it, and it doesn't just end the game if you don't answer it. Whereas things like Ugin, for example, just win you the game, or they don't occasionally, which is mostly occasionally. Most of the time it is just win you the game on the spot. I don't know. I don't play against that card ever again, so there is that. 24 lands, 3 Tangled Florahedrons to make sure that we get up into our 4, 5, and 6 drops. Grunk being our 6 drop here, one of my favourite Planeswalkers in recent memory. A 6-mana 5 loyalty. Again, it's one of those threats that kind of needs answering, but if it doesn't, it won't end the game on the spot. It allows for a lot of back and forth. So the 0 allows you to make 2/2 black and green wolf creature tokens, which are the basis for creating loyalty on Grunk. So if one of those dies, then you get to use his ult, which is a -6 to give all your creatures permanently +3/+3 and trample. You could, if you really wanted to, Bone Crusher Giant or use a removal spell on one of your wolves and then ult Garruk if you want. But likelihood is your opponent's going to be blocking these wolves, and you might even be using the -3 as well to destroy a creature and redraw Grunk, which is kind of nice. Got 1 Polukranos in the deck. just kind of a nice escape card for the late game. It's a repeatable threat. Also, if our opponent is milling us, then we can get this out of the graveyard as well in the late game for 6 mana, and it will come out as a 12/12 with counters, so things like Heartless Act are no longer answers to it. And we'll see where we go from there. They could still have the Bloodchief's Thirst and Drowning Locks and whatnot, but Drowning Lock gets a lot worse when we're exiling cards out of our graveyard, similar to Clothis as well. So another reason why we're going to be utilizing our graveyard as a little bit of a resource there, or more of a counter resource in a nutshell. But yeah, I think I've explained the deck as much as I really need to. It is a bit of a smash and destroy kind of deck, but in a really interesting kind of way. Hopefully it's interesting anyway. If you find it interesting, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe. And yeah, without further ado, let's continue. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alright then, let's have a look. We have turn 2 Bone Crusher Giant or Heartless Act. We're on the play as well, which is really nice. We're lacking a little bit of green. I guess we can do the double green with the Fabled Passage and the Pathway though, since the temple is covering red and black for us. Yeah, okay. We can also scry and potentially get something nice as well. I don't think we'll need another Heartless Act. I think between removal, and then thing that blocks for removal, we're in a good enough spot. Question is, do I want to play the Pathway now, or tap Fabled Passage? I think I want to go Pathway. Plan on stomping, then we can Heartless Act if we don't draw a land that's untapped. Otherwise, we get to go for Bone Crush Giant. Teamer. It's going to be like a Lotus Cobra kind of deck, right? I think I just want to be as aggressive as possible. Saving the Stomp for the Lotus Cobra if they do run it would be ideal, but I think what this is a race to Genesis Ultimatum for them, aka play big thing and win. Interesting. Might also be getting Ugined as well. So I'm going to grab another forest so we have that double green. Any land now unlocks this entire hand. Otherwise we can just go Clothis and start eating things, I guess. Yeah, there's no way this is not a Genesis Ultimatum deck. Not a chance. Well, I would have much preferred to have gone Questing Beast here as well, because it also allows us then to draw a land into Vivian or Gargaroth. As it currently stands, I think our opponent's just going to Terror the Pixis to death. Let's go with Fabled Passage then. This allows me to go Questing Beast and play Temple. Another Fabled Passage. Yeah, I guess so. Alright, get in for 4. We're just gonna go land Ugin though, right? That's your plan? That's pretty much the reason I stopped playing Standard, is because everything ends with Ugin. I imagine that hasn't really changed. Would hope it does, but probably not. Terror of the Peaks. Okay. Let's eat your Jwari Disruption. We have a Polycane in our deck, so we want to lean towards hitting our opponent's graveyard before our own. I'm going to take 3 here to kill the Terror, because it's much worse if they get to play the Bone Crusher Giant. Oh, Beanstalk Giant, sorry. Play around Jwari Disruption here, and then we even get to get him for another 4. Was not expecting Brazen Borrower. This is a wild deck. Okay. Yeah, I think their big plan was Terror into, like, Ultimatum or Beanstalk Giant as the worst case scenario. I'm going to set a stop because I might want to crack the Fable Passage for mana. Cultivate. And the idea of the deck is essentially just a Goldfish for the most part. They just basically play Ultimatum and then they pull several Terrors out of their deck. By the power of RNGesus. I don't believe we want to go with Grunk because of Jwari's Disruption. So if I crack the Fable Passage, I would have 5 and then 6. I guess, is this pre-combat main phase? It is. Alright, well, I'm going to crack this anyway, I think. Go grab... maybe our White Source at this point, since we don't have any Triomes. Yeah, we'll see what we draw, because if it was a land there, then we eat the Fable Passage. Otherwise, I think we're just going to eat their Terror of the Peaks. Play a Questing Beast to play around Disruption. And then keep swinging. Draw a card. This is a weird deck. First time seeing Glimpse of Freedom, but not the first time I'm seeing my Questing Beast getting bounced. Highly irritating. Kiora bests the Sea God. Not ideal. I really needed Mythos of Aluna. Oh, sorry, Mythos of Nethroi there. Alright, well, let's just eat their Glimpse of Freedom. Because now they get to steal my Clothis. I think we still go in with the Questing Beast and we take care of the 8/8. And flash in a Borrower, that's about the only thing they can do. It can't block Questing Beast, but the 8/8 can. I feel like you block if you're them, but you also don't really need to necessarily, because Questing Beast is getting tapped here. We're going to get so close, and then we're going to fail miserably. That's really upsetting. Rada, okay. So we're going to take them to 4. We could have potentially, if it wasn't Kiora Best the Sea God, killed the Beanstalk Giant and swung for 4, and that would have probably done it. But as it stands, what is likely to happen is Chapter 3 is going to steal my Clothis, and then they can basically swing this back in their favor. Going to go with a Rada. Try and hit a land drop off the top. Nope. Not very good at this, am I? Alright, well, just kill the Brazen Borrower, I suppose. I don't see how we win unless our opponent doesn't take Clothis and we survive. Taking Rada, and yep. That was a bit upsetting, to be honest. Oh well. Next game. Alright, a Gigantha deck. I don't even know what Gigantha means anymore for for standard. We're going to keep this one, though, because we can Bone Crusher on 2. Do some shenanigans later. I think we just want to go with a temple here. Try and find additional land. So next turn I'm going to be going for Bone Crusher. After that, I think I'd much rather just have an untapped land than a Rada, because this Fable Passage is a little bit awkward. Oh, is Gigantha... I don't know. I actually don't know. I was about to say, is it like rogues? But that would make not so much sense in the world. So if they are rogues for some reason, then they could have the 1-mana 1/1 that mills me. I might take my chances and just go with an Indatha Triome here. Because it does seem a little bit weird that they would be that. Maze Mine Tome. Okay. So we have our double green, so let's get our red in there, and then we'll go with a Rada. Can influence the top card of our deck if it survives with the Fable Passage. Or just, you know, draw a card off the top as well is kind of nice. So is this maybe like Rakdos then? I think that's the thing. Questing Beast on top for us, which is nice. It's a nice on-curve draw. Skyclave Relic. So you're an Ugin deck. That's all you needed to say. Right, well, we don't want an extra Questing Beast if we have one in hand, so I'm going to thin the deck now. We'll go get a little bit more green. Heartless Act is probably not that good. But 7 damage at our opponent's face seems pretty reasonable. We're also an odd and an even if they've got Extinction Event as well, which is kind of nice. What's your equip? It's 6 for that. A little bit of a ways off from activating Rada. Got an active Labyrinth. But yeah, somehow I doubt that's where they'd go with that. Solemn grabs another Swamp. And there's a temple on top. Mythos of Nethroi is pretty good. It's a 3-mana way of dealing with Ugin, which leaves us with 2 mana to stomp our opponent. So I'm going to keep that. Maybe we just want to stomp the Bone Crusher Giant, though. The Solemn Simulacrum, sorry. And then we get to go in for 7 again. Threaten lethal next turn. Yeah. It's not the worst. I guess maybe I should have gone Heartless Act, actually. I'm making so many mistakes. I apologize, guys. Yeah, the Heartless Act's just better because the Stomp can go to face. And they wouldn't have a way of getting counters on the Solemn, which is when this card would be bad. Might not matter, but if it does, it's going to kind of sting. Okay, they're at 6. Ooh, you'd love to see them go straight into the draw without even seeing what's on top of their deck first. Oh, it's a Scry, actually, sorry. Either way. They like it. You hate to see that, though. So they've got 6 mana, 7 now with Unknown Shores. What do you want to do with 7 mana? Can't Ugin until next turn. We could have all sorts of removal. Heartless Act is a very bad top deck. So they've got Labyrinth of Scophos. They also might Ugin me next turn, so I don't want to commit anything to this board. Eliminate. Yep. Sure. I'll commit a Gargaroth to the board if they kill Questing Beast here, though, because I do still obviously need to pressure our opponent. Gain X life. I could kill it in response so they don't. It doesn't seem worthwhile to me. This seems like panic removal, so let's go with Elder Gargaroth. Yeah, our removal's not really lining up here. Obviously, they should be at 12 with the Stomp. But at the very least, I've got an odd here that can make even tokens, so if they do have Extinction Event, but not in time, then that's going to be good for us. We can get rid of that with the Mythos, which is probably worthwhile. We've got the Blood Chief's Thirst for an Ugin. Only leaves me with 2 mana, though, which is really annoying, but I guess we can Heartless Act the Gigantha. No, we can't. The mana doesn't line up. I am so bad at this game. I don't know why, but here we are. Counting mana sources is not easy. If they do go with Gigantha, though, they're mostly tapped out and can't really do anything. So now they want to name Odd, and we're left with a 3/3. Still no more lands. Got 24 in here with Mana Dorks. It's kind of annoying. So we'll go with Bone Crusher Giant, which sets up lethal. If our opponent just goes for Gigantha, they only have 2 mana, so they'll need something like an Eliminate, which will deal 2 to them. Take them to 3. And then they'll be dead to the token once we Heartless at the Gigantha. Still got an odd and even, so Extinction Event's looking pretty bad. We know they don't have it because they've just played Gigantha. And that should do it. Got lethal no matter which creature connects here with the Bone Crusher's Stomp. If we'd have stomped them earlier like we should have done, then we would have had lethal with the Beast token, regardless of not having this card in our hand, but managed to get there. Loads of mistakes. Do apologize, but we won, so next game. Alright, on the play, love it. This mana base is good. It can get a Rada or a Clothis, and we've got removal. We just kind of need white mana off of any of our Triomes, I guess, to make this hand kind of work. So just going to play the top side of all of our cards here, and hope it's good enough. It's mono red. Alright, Clothis is going to be the reason why we don't die. I'm going to go with a red first, just so I can pretend that I have burn. But actually, I'll just be Heartless Acting the Fervent Champion. Robber of the Rich? Nope, I will be Heartless Acting the Robber of the Rich. And then we're going to try and get Clothis down and keep it down while also gaining life every single time. So Champion can hit us from 1 to 2 to 3, I guess. Depending on their turn here. They could have the, yep, the Rimrock Knight. They just played it out, which is actually quite surprising to me. This Fable Passage can get me my white source for Mythos of Nethroi, so if they've got an enchantment that I'm not thinking of, then we can get it that way. I think we just want to Bone Crush the Rimrock Knight. We can't really play Rada out as a blocker because they'll just kill it in response, most likely. So I think I'll just take 3 points off the board rather than take the risk. And I think we're going to leave the Fable Passage in play because then Rada can see a new top of the deck. Okay, we're taking 3. Gonna get rid of the Rimrock Knight. Got a temple here just in case Fabled Passage doesn't show us a land. Well, it is a land. Okay. And we pass. So we've got a little bit of a roadblock. We've still got Clothis Fuel with Heartless Act here. I think I'm trading with Rimrock Knight, to be honest, due to the fact that this is first strike, and if they've got a shock, then they just kill Rada during combat, and Fervent Champion doesn't die. And considering I've got a Rada in my hand, I think it's worth just taking 4 points off the board and staying near my starting life total. So again, we're going to play Rada before making our land drop, just in case there's one on top, because it's like drawing a card. And now I can hold up a Rada to block the Fireblade Charger, if it's not already dead. And then we don't really need Mythos, which is kind of nice, so we can stomp a Phoenix of Ash, I guess. So we'll grab a red source. We get to stomp the Phoenix and then eat it with Clothis. I'm actually going to block Fervent Champion. So I doubt they've got another Rimrock Knight. If they've got a shock, I can kill it in response. Like so. And then we'll Mythos the Phoenix of Ash. So I get to keep my Rada. Untap. Kill Phoenix of Ash pre-main phase so that Clothis can eat it. Draw the Gargaroth, which will win us the game. Eat your Phoenix. Yeah, this game is insanely over. Good lord. Alright, well, we managed to keep up with Mono Red, staying on a nice life total so throughout. Clothis definitely carried us there. I think it probably gained us 2, 4, 6, 8... 8 life. It gained us 8 life, so we would have been on 10 before we drew this Elder Gargaroth, which again would have actually won us the game, I think, being a 6/6 that gains life whenever it blocks anything, and our opponent can only really attack. They know no such thing as block. So, yeah, I think we'd have won that game either way, but managed to, yeah, really nicely dodge all of their burn spells and whatnot. Good stuff. Okay, we're on the draw. Mana's a little bit sketchy, but with a green source or just the plains off the top, we can play the Mythos. We've got this removal. We just need a green source mostly for Questing Beast, though. I think this should allow us to live long enough. Alright, so we have to play around Dwari's Disruption. Shouldn't be too difficult. Maze Mine Tome, so probably blue-black control then. There's a green source. We've got the red on the Savai Triome. I guess we might as well play the Savai Triome, actually. Can't really imagine we're killing anything here. If I had to guess, it'd be just land go for our opponent. As expected. Our deck is not very good against what our opponent is doing. I expect to lose. For what it's worth. I think their top end is like Ashiok. I could Mythos the Maze Mine Tome. They might not actually have been a better target than that, but this is pretty much my best way of killing Ashiok, I think. Basically 2-for-1 ourselves is the problem, though. Yeah, I'm just going to keep playing land go. Most of the threats we can drop down are bomb threats, so... they are must answer. If our opponent taps out for an Ashiok, we could potentially go in for a Questing Beast slap. I don't know, though. Probably going to end step Mythos if they went for that. Well, there's a QB. We can play around Dwari Disruption now. I think we might as well, because if they're going to go for an Ashiok, I can kill it next turn with the Mythos anyway. Killing it on their turn and killing it on the next turn doesn't make too much of a difference, because they still get the token either way. And they still don't get to protect it. So they get a 2-3. Clothis. I would have loved a land so I could play that. Instead, I'm going to have to get rid of Ashiok here. And to be honest, gonna probably go for a Heartless Act on this token as well, so they're not exiling my deck. Yeah, if I can get this down, it would be quite nice. The only thing to bounce it would be Brazen Borrowers and Ashioks. So this is kind of, at the moment, my win con I want to force. I imagine they've got lots of Bloodchief's Thirsts and whatnot. So I think, again, I'm probably just going to go and slap in a Questing Beast, but we'll do it... don't have any double red, so I'm just going to go for green, because the Survive Triumph's providing my mountain. We'll go like this, we'll go Questing Beast with Eliminate open. Eliminate can be used on the Crawling Barons, whereas Heartless Act can't. Again, I think this is still just a horrific matchup, though, because it'll just bury us in card advantage in the long term, but we do have a slight advantage that whenever we don't draw only removal, we do then have threats that need countering constantly. Guess I'll grab a mountain this time. And we'll drop this threat that needs answering. Which then makes some tokens. This opens up their removal, their extinction events, so I don't expect much comes of it. In fact, this might not make too much of a difference. Yeah, they're counting their mana. I think they're counting for extinction event on even, and then Crawling Barons activation with a land drop. If they didn't have their land, they would have scryed to find it, I think. It's a shame our mana didn't line up in the same way, because we could have punished that line. It looks like Hagra Mauling, though, tapped is the way to go, so we might have dodged a bullet here. Double draw, still have Counterspell open. Now they only have Disruption open. So this might be my time to drop Clothis. Let's game for 2. I think this is Clothis time. We've done it. And we'll make some more wolves.
Stay on the trail.
We've now got Nethroi to kill Ashiok, who probably bounces Clothis. We've got Eliminate to kill the Crawling Barons. Alright, well at least Clothis is not a creature right now. So we kind of got that going for us. It looks like we might get the opportunity to kill the Crawling Barons as well. So they won't have counter magic open for this. Come at me, bro. Whee! Into the graveyard you go. It's actually not going bad. It's not going too bad. Alright, whose graveyard should I care about? I guess I care about our opponents. In what way would I want to care about our opponent's graveyard, though? It's unlikely to have reanimation for Planeswalkers. I don't think it necessarily matters. It's mostly the drain, really, that I want here, because it puts our opponent on an 8-turn clock. Let's play the Temple. We need... You know, a card like that might be exactly what we're looking for. Another Planeswalker threat that is hard to deal with, and also allows us to draw cards off the top of our deck as well. Not using a Maze Mine to scry there seems like a mistake. I don't know. It's a little bit in the late game, so... Who knows? Finally got their Blood Chief Thirst. And Extinction Event on even, but they're tapped out, so now they let a Planeswalker resolve. Doesn't seem ideal. This time I will eat, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. If I knew what the top card of my deck was, it would influence my decision a little bit more, because if there's an Elder Gargaroth on top, then I want to eat the Crawling Barrens. Otherwise, I just want to eat anything else. I think the odds are that it's probably something that Vivian can't cast here, so we're just going to go get the drain in while we still can. Hope for the best. We'll consume the white mana. There's nothing white mana related off the top that Vivian can cast. And it's a land, so... Just going to tick up, and we'll make... a Vigilant creature. Not sure it matters. I guess, actually, I'm holding a Mythos in my hand. It's a bit silly of me, isn't it? Well, probably doesn't matter. That would be another top deck. They've only just started using these, so they'll have been a recent draw. Knowing we're going to draw a Temple of Malice is a little bit sad. Okay, neutralize. Hit our opponent for 3. And let's see if we can find... Well, we've already got one. It's not to say that they're not exactly what we want. But I also want to pressure my opponent before they find cards that are the reason for keeping this in my hand. And, like, we just lose the moment they play Ugin. Which is probably what they're digging for, and will probably just ruin this game. Yeah, they're just going way too far through their deck. Gaining life as they go, 31 cards. I think they've got like 3 Ashioks, 2 Ugins, something like that in their deck. Murderous Rider, take 2. And they can play Murderous Rider if they really want to, but they've got counter magic, so why would they? There's a Rada. No. Let's play her out. We might get a land drop off the top if she don't get immediately snapped off here. Which she did. Okay, so we pass. Yeah, this is going to be one of the longest losing streaks I think we're going to go on at this point. Can't see how we do win now that we're in this situation. There's Ashiok. We have the Mythos for that, but our opponent has the bounce on Clothis with Counterspell, probably. They don't. Interesting.
Welcome to my domain.
Actually, let's wait for a little while. Nothing they've done changes my play, but something they could do might. So now our opponent's a little bit more tapped out and they have to think more about protecting their Ashiok, which they probably want to do. Yeah. That's the third neutralize, I think. Elder GG. Just gets bounced and removed by Ashiok, so it's not really even worth playing. Opponent gains 1,000,000 life. We have the tools to beat this deck, but I don't think we do beat it most of the time. Oh, we got rid of 2 bad cards, that's kind of nice. We've done us a little bit of a favour there. More lands. I'm just going to keep them in hand. Actually, well, now I guess I can play the Elder Gargaroth, because if they minus Ashiok on it, then I can get rid of the Fabled Passage. So they've just got more Essence Scatters. And this is why I think we lose, because we can't beat this. Our opponent's about to ult as well if they really want to, which doesn't really do anything, admittedly, but... Now they've got another creature on board. They're countering all of my stuff with Murderous Rider. Still got garbage. Again, still good for us. But I just don't see how we draw anything that's useful. I might see what's on top with the temple and scoop it up, to be honest. What is it? Another Elder GG. Sure, we'll play it out a little bit longer, even though I don't think it changes anything. In fact, it literally doesn't, because they attack him with the tokens. Yeah, we're just going to move on. Eh, well. On the play against Obosh. Excuse me. I didn't know Obosh was a thing. If Obosh is a thing, I'd be quite happy. Maybe it's mono red. It's probably mono red, right? I'd be less happy if it's just mono red, but if it's something cute, I'm all for it. It's been a while since I've played against an opponent with a truly, truly, truly interesting deck. So, you know, if we could see something new, that'd be great. It's getting a wee bit samey on the Magic front these days. Since the power level's so high, you can't really afford not to play loads of the same cards. Okay, so it's like blue-red or blue-black. Or Grixis, I guess. We're just going to go with... What do we want to do here? What are we aiming for? Assume it's maybe blue-black. Maybe blue-black flash deck. I'd want to keep open Bone Crusher Giant then. It's a bit hard to do that and do anything meaningful next turn, though. I think I'll just play the Temple. Errata. I'm okay with Errata. That's a nice on-curve play. Alright, I'm officially convinced our opponent's playing something interesting. Please don't make me feel like I've made a mistake with that assessment. Play Pathway, play Errata. There is a land on top. It's the one time you don't want to see a land on top, but maybe our opponent just kills Rada here. Bounces Rada. Okay. Spicy. Let's see. Let's go Rada, see if we can blank another land drop, otherwise I'll probably just play this Florahedron as a land. Means that we can go Gargaroth next turn. How much is Ultimatum? The more I think about it, the more I think that this is just a boring Ultimatum deck that has Obosh because it can. Ooh, hello. There's a Grunk. Could be playing that next turn, which is nice. Do we want Questing Beast or Gargaroth here? I want to say Gargaroth. Questing Beast has haste, obviously. So if we get this down now, seems like it'd be harder for our opponent to deal with. Unless they've just got Brazen Borrower. And we can gain some value out of it before we just get Ugin'd. Ugin's... Oh no, Ugin's 8, isn't it? So they can't play Ugin. Because this is only odds. Yeah. Okay. Now we're talking. More grunks. Well, we don't want additional grunks, so we're going to get a swamp with the Fable Passage. The Blood Chief's Thirst on top seems relevant. We can stomp the beast during combat, so that's a way we can get rid of that, and then that'll leave us with Questing Beast mana. Can't really do the Questing Beast stomp play, though. So maybe we should just kill it with a Heartless Act and then play QB. Okay. Swing with everything. I think because I'm a little afraid of some random sweeper I'm not thinking of, I'm going to draw a card so we can start to replace our creatures here. We have a nice split of even and odds if our opponent just wants to... Yeah, it is a Genesis Ultimatum deck. And pretty garbage hits, actually, so we can not care about Brazen Borrower, which is nice. Blood Chief's Thirst, the Lovestruck Beast, and then we win. This can't block anything but flyers, so we don't have to deal with it. It's really nice. Alright, well, I think that might do it for today's video. A little bit on the short side, maybe. I don't know. I never actually look at the timestamps for most of these videos. It just feels like it might be on the shorter side, but I think we've probably showcased the deck. Is it good? Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I don't think it's good, though. We didn't really come against any the tier lists, necessarily. I think that blue-black control list is showing up a lot more, though. I've seen it posted a fair few places, so... You know, we lost against that. I think we were always going to. There's not too much we can do against a deck like that, though, except for just drop big bomb threats. And we were certainly doing that. And we kind of got close to answering it. It's the reason why we got things like Mythos of Netheroi to take care of big planeswalkers and whatnot. And we've got Blood Chief's Thirst to do that as well. So we still have a couple of tools against it, but it's things like Heartless Act and eliminating the deck that really let us down on that front. Maybe they want to just be something else. Who knows? But yeah, this is a lot of fun. Contains a lot of cards that I absolutely adore in so many ways. Less so this one, but this one doesn't see play anymore. It's kind of funny. But yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed today's video. If you have, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe as well for more standard content in the future. I'm not sure when we'll be returning for standard, because with Cube coming up and Historic just generally being more interesting at the moment, I don't know. It seems a little bit few and far between as far as good standard content's concerned, but yeah, I don't know. I had fun today. Hopefully you guys did too. And yeah, I'm going to call it here. Take care, guys. Have a good night.